Now, let me give you some, I've given you the three flavors of stupidity. Let me give you some definitions of stupidity. An excellent definition of stupidity is it's an unwitting tendency to self-destruction. Think about it, an unwitting tendency to self-destruction. And another good definition of stupidity is it's an inability to correlate cause and effect, an inability to relate actions and their consequences. And I would submit to you that that moron's entire life is a definition of stupidity, absolutely, since he's been a president. And I think I can back that. I think I can back that up. Let me give you a definition of an economist, because I think we're dealing with some really serious economic problems in the future. One definition of an economist I like to use is an economist is somebody that can tell you not just the immediate and direct consequences of actions, but the indirect and delayed consequences of actions. And I would also submit to you that since the average American, who I've just discussed, is not an economist and does not relate economic cause and effect at all, he knows nothing about it, that what we're going to go into is what I've long called the Greater Depression. I think what we're entering upon here is going to be much worse than what we had in the 1930s and very different from what we had in the 1930s. The average person's been brought up on collectivism. He's not terribly bright, absolutely not about economics, and they're going to do every stupid thing that you can imagine in the years to come. And God forbid, when the next 911, real or imagined, happens, they're going to lock this country down like one of their numerous new federal prisons. And I expect it to happen. But stupidity is only a partial explanation for all the problems that we have, I've got to say. Let me add on to that by saying that all criminals are actually stupid. All criminals actually are stupid. Even criminal geniuses like Lex Luthor and Hitler and Stalin and people like that, they're actually stupid on a basic level. And let me explain how they're stupid. Let's take really grand criminals that have been successful on a gigantic scale. Let's take Hitler. I can give you many examples of his stupidity, but just a couple of them. Why did he invade Russia when he hadn't taken out Britain yet, and he knew America was on Britain's side? How stupid was that? Okay? An unwitting tendency to self-destruction, an inability to see consequences of actions, and so forth. And after he invaded Russia, why did he throw the 6th Army into the meat grinder of Stalingrad? That was incredibly stupid, okay? They have a tendency to self-destruction. Well, you say, well, maybe Stalin was smarter than he was. No. Stalin was a moron too. I'll give you some examples. He was even more stupid in many ways. When most Russians were already hungry and many were starving, what does he do? He kills off the kulaks, millions of them, the most productive class of farmers in Russia. So things got worse. Just before World War II, he killed off most of the Russian officer corps and a lot of their higher NCOs, just before Hitler attacks. I mean, this is incredibly stupid. Well, you don't have to go to Europe for this. Look at Roosevelt here in this country. I mean, most Americans believe that Roosevelt pulled the country out of the last Great Depression, but that's a lie. When Americans were already unable to afford to eat, and a lot of people were hungry, what does he do? He kills, he slaughters hogs, he pours milk into the gutter to raise prices to make these things more unaffordable. And when the economy's floundering, what does he do? He doubles and triples taxes and lays on 20 new regulatory agencies to make commerce impossible. Roosevelt was just as stupid as Hitler and Stalin. And think back about the definitions I just gave you a moment ago. So, why do people think these guys are geniuses? Why do they think they're really so smart? They just had some bad luck. Well, let me tell you why. It's because criminal personalities are stupid about reality, physical reality. Remember the two types of people? Reality and manipulating people? They're stupid about reality, but they're actually smart about how to manipulate people. Okay? That is a dichotomy that most people forget. So I'd say that these people were stupid. You just have to remember what they're stupid about and what they're smart about. And that leads me into the second thing. We've talked about fools. Now let's talk about knaves. Let's talk about the nature of evil. I'll submit to you that all political elites are evil. Normal people, what is evil? Well, normal people don't have a great capacity for evil. What is evil, incidentally? Evil is the intention, the will to do cruel and or unjust things. That's what evil is all about, to me, those two things. It's the intention to do cruel and unjust things. And I would also submit to you that the real acts of evil aren't those three goofy, nothing, nowhere, can't shine their own shoes and chew gum countries. The real axis of evil is these people that Bush has around him. Those are the real axis of evil in the world, because they do intentionally cruel and unjust things. Political elites are inevitably and necessarily sociopaths. Now, let me define sociopath for you. What are the characteristics of a sociopath? I'll give you 4 things that I think constitute a sociopath. These people all lack conscience. They have no remorse and no regret, although they put forth an image of having a tremendous conscience. It's just the opposite of the case. Second thing is they put their own desires and wants far above everybody else. They don't even consider other people's desires and wants, although they put out the image that they care about nothing but your desires and wants. Third thing is they really believe they're superior to everybody else. Why? Because they're not bounded by the ethics and morals and things that normal people are. They're above that. They're superior. And they're very arrogant. And you can detect that arrogance in Bush. I mean, he may be as dumb as a chimpanzee and look like one, but he's very arrogant. And the fourth thing, very, very important point, is they have no responsibility for their actions. They will never take the blame for anything. I defy you to give me one instance of a political elite ever sincerely apologizing for something he's done to other people, or some action he's committed, some crime. Never. So, and they're proud of what they've done. They're complete sociopaths. They're reptiles hidden under a human skin. Now, how do you know these people? How can you recognize them? It's very hard, actually. Why? Because they're chronic and astute and skilled and enthusiastic liars. Okay? And you've got to cut through that. So you have to look at their actions, not what they say. And they disguise themselves under a social veneer, under a mask of sanity. And I think mask of sanity is maybe even better than a social veneer, because they're actually insane.